Hi, Amy Hill. I am here with Michael LaPierre, and he is running for the South Carolina GOP chair, along with 3 other folks. I am going to be doing a series of interviews so that we can get the information out to you, the people, and you call your delegates, call your GOP, and let them know that you saw the video and give them your opinion. And this is Michael LaPierre.
Hello, everyone. Glad to be here. Thank you very much, Amy.
Thank you. And I love this little town. I drove up here to Pickens to meet Mr. LaPierre, and it's a beautiful little town. And this is a great coffee shop. We're in the Coyote Coffee.
Coyote Coffee.
Yeah.
It's my home away from home, so come on in. They got 3 locations, by the way.
That's fantastic. So they're here in Pickens and where? Pickens,
Easley, and Powdersville. Yeah.
Oh,
and the owner is a wonderful lady, Tunky. So come on down, visit Coyote Coffee.
Oh, that's fantastic. So I'll go ahead and start. Of course, there is a lot of new GOP members and delegates, first-time delegates, which is exciting this year. A lot of people are choosing to participate in the political process, which the more the merrier. I think that's fantastic. So we're going to go through these questions, and hopefully everybody will get to know Mr. LaPierre better. So briefly, for the audience, give us a quick bio of what your political background, beliefs, and aspirations.
Yeah, so my political background really started during the Ronald Reagan years, where when I went to college, Ronald Reagan was just coming to power. So I am a young Republican, and I just adore Ronald Reagan and that whole legacy. I also had the privilege, I went to Brown University and I studied political science and business. I did a double major, and I had the privilege while at Brown to study under some of the most conservative and really some of the most conservative leaders in the world. We would have visiting scholars and visiting lecturers come through, and we had people like Howard Baker, Reagan's chief of staff. We would have Jean Kirkpatrick, who was the first, Nikki Haley to the United Nations, and then she also held another cabinet level post at the same time. So these people were very, very conservative in nature, and that's where I grew up at Brown, understanding the political realm. Now, my dad was a politician. He was involved in politics, so I've been in and around campaigns for a long while, and then most recently, I think the audience probably knows I ran against Senator Lindsey Graham for the United States Senate, and we did really, really well. I was so happy being a total unknown, and compound that with the fact that Lindsey Graham was coming off the Kavanaugh hearings, so he had some momentum. And so it was. We got 80,000 votes. We get the name recognition that we can use as a springboard to our next run.
Right. That's great.
Yeah.
So why are you running, and what would you like to accomplish if elected the state GOP chair?
Yeah, so what I see when I look at South Carolina, I look at South Carolina through the eyes of very conservative people. Steve Bannon, as an example, and many of the other political pundits, they see South Carolina as less than conservative. And for me, that is problematic. We want to be on the cutting edge of conservatism. We want to be on the cutting edge of understanding the party platform and then believing the party platform. And there's a big disconnect. And I'll give you an example. Senator Lindsey Graham, hypothetically, I mean, he is our senator, and Drew McKissick, the state chair. So Lindsey Graham says that Roe v. Wade should stay where it is. This is the Supreme Court decision that allows the murder of 65 million babies. Lindsey Graham says it should stay where it is. Lindsey Graham also wants to allow illegal immigrants to cross our borders and then have a pathway to citizenship. Lindsey Graham wants a tax on our carbon footprint. Lindsey Graham voted for Sotomayor and Kagan. All of these things combined are an anathema to our Republican Party platform, but yet, when I was running for Senate, I got a letter from Drew McKissick's office as chairman of the Republican Party right during the middle of the primary saying, please support Lindsey Graham and defend Lindsey Graham and send him money. So that confuses me. Either you believe in the Republican Party, the principles of the Republican Party, or you believe in some Fantasyland version that Lindsey Graham and I guess Drew McKissick, since he supports Lindsey Graham, so that's the problem that I have. But that is my belief. I believe in the Republican Party platform, and we're going to
the creed.
Oh, and the creed. The creed. What I like about that is it, in a sense, it tells you to pick yourself up by your bootstraps, get involved, and be a free American. I mean, hard work, dedication. Every time you break through a wall, it's another learning experience, and you grow, and you help people. And so, my life story is that I broke down a lot of walls. There were periods in my upbringing where we were on welfare. I lived in a farmette. I mean, my parents were dirt poor, but yet I broke the wall. I got into an Ivy League school, and then from there, I broke the wall. People told me it could never happen. I signed a professional baseball contract, and then, I told my wife and some friends, I'm going to get a 4.0, and I'm going to get my MBA. Well, they laughed at me. Well, I got a 4.0 and I got an MBA. Mm-hmm. So life is a series of walls that we need to break down. And I think what I want to do as state chairman is break down the walls.
Yeah, that's, of course, I mean, that's how we build the country, is break down the walls. Yeah. So do you have any experience, and from what I'm hearing, you're going to say yes to this one definitely, in business and financial accountability, and specifically fundraising, because that's very important for any political party? Yes, ma'am.
That's a good question. I have 33 years of corporate experience. I was a vice president of sales at a Fortune 500 company. Mm-hmm. I was a strategist, a business strategist, who would present cases to the executive group about the direction of our company. And this is a $65 billion company with a B.
Wow.
Twice the size of South Carolina budget, I believe. So I was consulting with executives on which direction to take the company. So I have a lot of business experience, and that business experience also, as anyone knows who's been in the corporate world, it's all about politics. It's all about relationship building. It's all about building a vision for the future. That's what corporate America is, and I was very successful at it. I had a lot of success rising to the rank of a vice president of sales, and then as a business strategist at a $65 billion company. So yeah, a lot of experience.
That's good experience. And fundraising, I heard you say earlier you have a 501?
Yeah, so fundraising, because I was in sales, I have a unique advantage when it comes to the fundraising. I sold in my corporate career and the people that worked for me the intangible.
Right.
We sold service. Right. So we had to convince multi-million-dollar customers to use us, and so sales and fundraising. And I have a 501c3 that we go around the world, and we teach and we preach Christian leadership and the principles of leadership from a Bible perspective. So
lots of experience then. So when you think about the Republican creed, does it inspire you? And if so, how? How does that inspire you?
Yeah, the inspiration that I get, it really goes back to why are we here? why are we on the face
Right.
of this earth? So we're trying to get to, the creed is really trying to get down to the fundamentals of why we exist. And for me, it certainly is to glorify God. That is why we're here. So what we have to do is we need to get beyond what I call the delicacies of political ideology. The things that, from a political perspective, that we hold on to. We got to get beyond the delicacies of political ideology and realize that it is God's moral law. That is the foundation of what we're doing. God, if we believe that God is supreme and He is sovereign over everything, He's sovereign over, let's say, the arts and the entertainment field, and He's sovereign over the workplace, and He's sovereign over athletics. God is also sovereign over the political domain.
Of course.
And we've got to understand that. And that's why the creed inspires me, because it takes us back to what are we here for? It's not about me. It's not about you.
Right.
It's about a higher power.
Absolutely. So, what would you change, or what would you like to change about the state GOP organization and how it's currently run? And just in your words, and what you would like to see as far as change, not necessarily what you think's being done wrong, but what you want to do to improve or make improvements.
Yeah. So the very first thing that we need to do that my opponents are not discussing, and that is educate people on this thing called separation of church and state. Right now, there are many people in our party who believe that separation of church and state is in the Constitution, and it's not. The only separation of church and state that we are obligated to is where in the Word of God it says, render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and render
Right.
unto God the things that are God. Now here's the difference. What we have done is we've created a version of separation of church and state that is not biblical. And we've done it through the Supreme Court of the United States. I love legal cases. I love the Supreme Court. I read a lot of that. So what they've done is they've created legal precedents that is at odds with the Word of God, and it's called Lemon versus Kurtzman. Go to the internet and look that up. Lemon
I will
versus
definitely
Kurtzman.
do that. Yeah.
And so there's 3 points with Lemon versus Kurtzman. They tell you that laws must have a secular purpose, that laws cannot advance or inhibit religion, and then laws cannot entangle government in the affairs of religion. And what that is a secular way, it's a catch-22. And what happens is all of our laws, they all point to a fictitious and a fallacious, it's a lie. It's a lie. So I would encourage people to look at that and study Lemon versus Kurtzman.
That is definitely interesting, and I'm going to look into that. So what are your top conservative legislative priorities, and how do you envision working with state legislature to push a more conservative agenda for South Carolina? As you know, we're known as the most liberal conservative state in the United States. So what would you do to work with those legislators to encourage them to pass conservative legislation, be actually reflective of the people?
Yeah, so what I would do as state chair, I would use the bully pulpit much more than is currently being used. As
You'll have to explain the bully pulpit.
Yeah, so the bully pulpit, when you have an office, a position, there's influence. You get to speak in public a lot. And so what we are missing is someone who speaks in public but brings us back to the party platform, that brings us back to the right version of separation of church and state, and that will time and again make sure that elected officials are held accountable. I mean, so we all know the acronym RHINO. All right. So I will be challenging those who do not follow the Republican Party platform. It's not that we're automatically at odds, but if decisions are being made that are not in line with the platform, I'm going to speak up. I will not remain silent. So here's what the current leadership does. There's a Latin expression. I took Latin, and it's called.
I'm not surprised, Michael.
Quitas et consenter. So what that means is, he who is silent is considered to consent. And I can promise you, South Carolina, I will not sit silent when there are elected officials that are playing in Rhino Land. I will call them out every single time.
What type of legislation do you see that you would want to push more?
Yeah, we've got to get personhood passed. It was a shame. I'm an incrementalist when it comes to life. If someone were to tell me 10 years from now, Roe v. Wade is going to be overturned, I'm probably going to get real excited. But between now and 10 years from now,
small gains.
I want the small. If I can save lives, thousands of lives before then, I want to save the lives. That's how I look at it. Not everyone agrees with that, but I do.
Probably the large majority.
Yeah, I think so. But that's personhood, very, very critical. We have to become a sanctuary state for our Second Amendment rights. We have to. Our gun rights are critical.
Right.
And I think we know that, especially now, with a dominant and a pervasive government and secular presence on our shores with the Joe Biden administration. We need our guns. Next thing that we need to do, we've got to lock down hard our election laws. Right. We've got to make sure that every T and every I is dotted, every T crossed, every I is dotted when it comes to our election laws. There's no room for error, because if we do not feel like we can vote and have our vote count, we will not have a country. We just won't. So those are three vital ones. And then the last I would add, our party, we need to embrace the younger generation. We need to embrace legal, L-E-G-A-L, legal immigrants and Black Americans in a much bigger way. We have done a poor job of assimilating that demographic in our party, and that is shameful.
Thank you for recognizing that, because a lot of us believe that. It's paramount. So the state GOP party, as a whole, has seen quite a bit of division this year, and we don't need to get into detail on the division. But what is your plan to pull the party back together, unify it, and move forward?
Yeah. First of all, I want to be very frank. I always say what I believe. I am not interested in a reality television kind of run for the chair position. That's what I'm seeing right now with some people, and I think that's shameful. Let's talk about the issues. Let's talk about voting records. Let's talk about people that you have supported. Let's talk about your leadership style and those types of things, as opposed to some of the reality TV that I'm seeing right now with some candidates, which have disappointed me greatly. So we can have a fight. We can have an in-depth discussion on the issues. Policy is a favorite of mine, but we don't need to get down into the I don't even know what you call it. It's the mire and the muck of politics. We're better than this, and so I would say let's keep it clean.
Oh, absolutely. And in conclusion, just what would you like people to know about you that would convince them to vote for you at the convention, the state convention in May? Just your closing statement to everyone to let them know Michael LaPierre.
If I could just boil it down, in the corporate world we were taught, just boil it down and tell me, what you're all about. I would say that the word results is something that When you get to know me, when you look at my history, the successes that I've had, then you will quickly realize that I am a man of results. So when I say that we will be a more conservative Republican Party, you can count on it. We will be taking on the rhinos in a very big way, and we will always, always, always do it with love, but we're going to point them back to our party platform every single time. And that's the difference. I will not pick winners and losers in a primary. We've seen that happen with the current leadership. I'm not interested in that. There's this thing in America called the primacy of equality. It's a great word. Look, your audience should look that up. It means that we have a fair fight. So when people that are in a chair position are sending out letters supporting other people in a primary, I don't think that's right. I think we need a fair fight in our primary. So that's one of the other things that I'll focus on. But really appreciate the time that we've had tonight, and you've asked a lot of good questions.
Thank you.
And,
I am so pleased that you agreed to do this. A lot of folks out there in South Carolina, they're either not on Telegram or they don't see it on the news. Certainly big news is not going to cover a simple GOP chair. But we just want to get the information out there,
Amen.
Make sure that everyone hears all the candidates and that everything is fair and on the same playing level, and that people can make an informed decision. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I really
pleasure.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much.